Greetings, liberated citizens. My name is Shireen Abadi, and I'm here today to teach you of the importance of women's rights in Iran. But first, a little bit about myself. I was born in 1947 in the Iranian city of Hamadan, but only spent the first year of my life there. Most of my life was actually spent in the nearby city of Tehran, where I remember enjoying the childhood of peace, freedom, happiness, and innocence. As a girl, I was always treated as an equal by my family, and as I grew older, I did not grow into the typical Iranian woman's role. I did not become ever more obsessed with cooking, cleaning, and tending to the whims of men, nor did I start covering myself and settling into an arranged marriage at the age of 13. No, I took my way of life for granted, and just assumed that all Iranian women lived the same. How wrong I was. That was long ago. Since then, I've witnessed inequality firsthand and have become a defender and advocate of human rights, women's rights, I mean. I have become a single soul trying to chip away at the thick wall of inequality that is Islamic law, and I do so with a hammer of courage and a chisel of justice. In 1975, I became the first Iranian woman to serve as a judge and proudly maintained the position for 4 years. However, in 1979, to my dismay, I was kicked out due to an Islamic revolution which stated that women are too emotional to be judges. Still, determined to make a difference, I fought for 13 years to receive my lawyer's license, and as a lawyer, fought to bring justice back to Iranian women. One such case as a lawyer that I took on that led to just that was that of Aryan Golshani. She was a 9-year-old girl beaten to death by her father, her stepmother, and her 18-year-old stepbrother. A tragedy, to be sure. What was even worse was that this was all completely preventable. When Aryan's parents broke up, her father got custody over her by word of Islam, even though he was clearly unfit for the responsibility. I took on this case, and through my persistence managed to get the law changed, so that now in a custody struggle there will be investigation into which parent would be better fit to take care of the children, rather than just assuming it would be the man. My courage to stand up to Islamic law has earned me time in jail, death threats, and torture, but I persist because if I don't try to fight oppression for the oppressed, who will? Perhaps one of you will grow up to be the next Shireen Abadi, and that will be who. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Wollstonecraft. Since the beginning of time, women have been treated as if they were inferior to men, which is most definitely not true. But we have been letting them do this and think of us this way, which must be stopped. Men are in no way better than women. They think they're smarter than us, but we just don't get as good education as them. We are in no way inferior to men. Men think it's weird or disgusting when a woman says she has sexual desires when men are jerking off left and right. How dare men judge a woman for premarital sex when they are engaging in it as well? Women are in no way inferior to men. I was born on April 27, 1759 in London. I grew up as an average Catholic girl going to the average schools a woman would go to. My dad's extensive drinking caused us money troubles, and we had to move around a lot. My dad's drinking also made him beat my mom, and I would try to stop that, but it didn't seem to help him out. When no one seemed to care about this, I realized the role that women sadly accepted at the time. Going to the average schools that women went to, I was not very developed intellectually. After years of moving around and going to the average schools women went to, I met a man named Mr. Clare. At Mr. Clare's house is where I developed intellectually. I spent lots of time at his house talking with him. I learned how to express my opinions with intelligence, making them harder to disagree with. I had also been influenced by the sermon at the church I went to named Mr. Price. He talked about many things from the Bible, but never that women were inferior to men. But he did talk about how all of God's children were created equal. which didn't seem to be true. During this time, talking to Mr. Clare and going to church, I realized that not only women were being treated inferior, but we were doing nothing to stop it. This is when I changed from an average Catholic girl to an activist for women's rights. Being an activist for women's rights was not an easy task at the time. If you just got in front of a group and told them about women's rights, men would just start to laugh at you. So I started writing. I got my first book published in 1787, and my most popular book, A Vindication of Women's Rights, was published in 1792. This is when people started to take me more seriously. But still, men thought they were superior. It was not until years later that the literature of my fellow women's rights activists and I inspired enough action for the first Women's Rights Convention in 1848, and ever since then, women have been more and more equal to men. Even with all the success we women have had, there are still many places in the world where women's rights are scarce. Places like the Middle East. You can help by spreading awareness and donating money to organizations trying to help.
Chile's current president. I am so proud to be the president of such a strong and beautiful country. My heart lies in Chile, and I'm overjoyed with the first female president of my home country. Chile has been through a lot. September 11th, 1973 turned our lives upside down, when a military junta overthrew Salvador Allende and then turned Chile into the Pinochet dictatorship. My father was a military officer for Allende at the time, and he was tortured and eventually killed. I lost my father and my freedom. I suffered during these times, and I know that I'm not alone. Many Chileans have faced hardships and lost family to horrible crimes that were committed. The Pinochet dictatorship was brutal, but Chilean people are strong enough and brave enough to push through. Listen, everyone, I know that times were hard and unforgivable crimes were committed. I know from firsthand from my own imprisonment how frustrating these times were. We should never forget what happened or the suffering of our families and of our people. But I want Chileans to be able to have a future and not just a past. I want Chileans to be able to look each other in the eyes again. I believe in historical optimism, and I want to give our country a magnificent future. I want to improve life for Chileans. Our people are so valiant, and yes, our history has been brutal, but in the end, humanity will always prevail. Another issue that is close to my heart is gender equality. We need to empower women and treat them with respect. Out of 192 states, there are only 19 female heads of state, and out of 500 police chiefs, only 15 are women. So many studies have shown that the key to economic development is empowerment of women. We need to give women more positions of power to show young girls and show everyone that women are strong. I am proud to be the first female president, but why did it take so long to elect a female president? Chile has had a president since 1826, and only in 2006 was there ever a female president. Women need to be taken seriously and to really be viewed as equal for us to have a more successful society. 1 out of every 6 women will be the victims of attempted or completed rape in their lives, which means that someone you know will most likely be or has been the victim of sexual harassment or abuse, whether it be your mother, your sister, your daughter, or your girlfriend. That's terrifying. Women are 85% of the victims of domestic abuse, and there are 1 million more female victims of violence than men. Violence against women costs the U.S. $5 billion each year. I want to demolish rape and violence against women. It's not only dehumanizing and awful, but it is just plain unmoral and illogical. I believe that we need more female peacekeepers, more women as police officers, not only to comfort female victims, but to show everyone that women aren't just objects, that women aren't dancers in distress, that women are powerful. Women deserve respect and equality, and that is the bottom line. Thank you.
Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. Mi nombre es Cesar Chavez. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cesar Chavez. I'm speaking out to this audience today to tell you about us, the people. We all want life to be fair and we all deserve equal and safe working conditions. All workers do. When workers have these things, their quality of life improves. When society has workers who are happier, healthier, and wealthier, everyone wins. Happier workers are more productive because they are not stressed and depressed about poor working conditions. Healthier workers are less of a burden on medical costs because they don't have to visit doctors as often. Wealthier workers can put more money into local economies and also increase tax revenues. All communities can benefit through La Casa, the cause. I was born in Yuma, Arizona, raised poor and helpless, while my family and I helped each other survive by working hard and having big hearts. I would help my family on their farm. I watered the plants, fed the animals, and brought eggs to the house. I was taught to never take things from others, but to always be generous because one day in the future I will get something good in return. I began going to school because my parents knew that education was very important. I wasn't the best student because English was my second language. When I turned 10 years old, my family lost their farm because of bad taxes, and we were homeless for longer than I could remember. I cried and I prayed to God, hoping that He would give us a miracle. The older I got, the more I learned about things that are wrong in this world. I didn't know what I would do with my life because the years passed too fast. So I decided to join the U.S. Navy to make money for my family and to protect my country. While I was in the Navy, I began to think about all the problems and mistakes my family and I had in the past, such as losing our farm in the Big Depression, to becoming homeless and having a little to do, as I said last time. Then it reminded me about my family and all the other people who went through the same thing, losing our dignities and respect to the wealthy. After the Navy, I had to keep working on farms for money and to put a roof over my family's head. Like I said last time, if you do good things, you get something in return. I just had to wait for the right moment. This is why I'm the kind, generous person that I am now. One day while I was walking around, I found a small group of citizens that fought for the rights of foreign farm workers. And I thought to myself, this is that moment I've been waiting for my whole life. The moment I can change lives, the moment I can make the world a better place. So I began to support my people. As time went on, more and more people joined the protest for our rights. I was inspired to become a leader, one that would try hard to get the rights that we need, such as better working conditions, because the conditions were horrible. Workers weren't treated like human beings. They had to work long hours and with no breaks. There weren't any bathrooms for them, and they didn't have clean water to drink. Anyone who complained was fired. When I became a little leader, I was supported by thousands of people all around me. After many protests, Fred Ross, Dolores Huerta, Gilbert Padilla, and I started a union called National Farm Workers Association, NFWA, to fight for La Causa. I made my own motto, "Si se puede." Yes, it can be done. I knew it could be done by working together and being supported by everyone that believed in us. I tried my best to make nonviolent strikes, but they still went out of control, and I was yelled multiple times. Nobody deserves to work super hard for a life to only make $6,000 a year, just like I did. So I made a boycott on grapes and lettuce. I told everyone to refuse to buy grapes and lettuce until farm growers agreed to give farm workers the proper working conditions and better pay. My boycott went worldwide. 7 million Americans avoided those foods for us. Millions of foreign workers that deserve their rights. What I will say now, even though I'm a ghost, is que viva la causa. Long live the cause. Thank you.
All right, whenever you're ready, Wyatt.
Welcome. My name is Vladimir Lenin. I am a true Russian, born in 1870 and raised here.